Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has just faced what may be the worst day of his leadership. Once seen as Labour's steady hand, he was publicly dismantled in a press conference that turned into a brutal attack. Journalists, usually gentle with him, dropped all restraint and went for the kill. The man who promised to restore trust and stability now looks exposed, cornered, and humiliated. The shadow of Nigel Farage, leader of Reform UK, looms larger than ever, haunting Starmer's every move. This wasn't just a bad day, it was a turning point that could mark the beginning of his downfall. The media, the public, and even his own party are starting to question his leadership. What happens when a prime minister loses control of the narrative? This is a story of political survival, broken promises, and a nation losing faith in its leader. Months ago, Starmer commanded the spotlight with ease. The press treated him kindly, framing him as the sensible choice after years of political chaos. He built his image as the reliable leader who could fix Britain's problems. But in one devastating press conference, that image crumbled. Journalists from major outlets like The Guardian, Sky News, and GB News tore into him. They called him robotic, accused him of dodging questions, and mocked his obsession with Farage. It was an ambush, and Starmer wasn't ready. He stood there, struggling to respond as reporters exposed his contradictions and weaknesses. This wasn't the respectful coverage he was used to, it was a public demolition. The questions were brutal. Reporters asked why he spends so much time attacking Farage instead of sharing a clear plan for Britain. They pressed him on broken promises, like raising national insurance after vowing not to, or considering scrapping the two-child benefit cap he once supported. They challenged his credibility on the economy, pointing to struggling families and a weak 0.1% growth rate. The toughest question came last, with his popularity dropping faster than any prime minister in recent history. Has he already failed? Starmer's silence spoke louder than any answer. For the first time, even loyal Labour supporters whispered doubts. Was this the moment his leadership began to unravel? The press didn't just land punches, they stripped away Starmer's carefully built image. For years, he sold himself as the steady adult in a chaotic political world. He wasn't flashy or loud, but he promised trust and competence. That promise fell apart under the media's spotlight. Reporters asked why he focuses on Farage instead of leading with his own ideas. They questioned how he can criticize Farage's economic plans when his own promises are falling apart. The most damaging moment came when they asked what he truly stands for. Starmer had no clear answer, and his shaky response made him look lost. His repeated mentions of Farage, almost like a nervous habit, backfired. Instead of weakening his rival, he gave Farage free attention, making him seem more relevant. In that room, Starmer wasn't fighting policy battles, he was fighting for his own credibility and losing. The press conference turned into a showcase for Farage, even though he wasn't there. Every time Starmer said his name, he gave Reform UK's leader more power. Farage didn't need to speak, Starmer did it for him. By framing himself against Farage, he made his rival the centre of the conversation. This was a huge mistake. Voters saw a prime minister obsessed with a man who isn't even in government, while their own struggles, rising bills, high taxes, and a stagnant economy, were ignored. The media pounced, sensing weakness. They pushed harder, exposing Starmer's panic and lack of vision. The result was a viral disaster, with clips of his stumbling answers spreading across social media. The public's reaction was raw. One moment stood out, a pub owner in the Red Wall, a region Starmer promised to win back, shouted him out the door, yelling, "You're not welcome in my pub." It wasn't just embarrassing, it was a symbol of how disconnected Starmer has become. He campaigned as a man of the people, claiming to understand working-class struggles. But surrounded by security and unable to face ordinary voters without chaos, he looked like just another out-of-touch politician. That viral clip spread like wildfire, showing a leader rejected by the very people he claims to represent. For a man who built his image on empathy, this was a crushing blow. Starmer's troubles go deeper than one bad day. His leadership is built on promises of stability, but those promises are crumbling. He vowed to freeze national insurance, then raised it. He supported the two-child benefit cap, then hinted at scrapping it. He claimed to champion working people, yet families face soaring energy bills, unaffordable rent, and stagnant wages. The economy is barely growing at 0.1%, far below the 2 to 3% needed for a healthy system. Small businesses are closing under heavy taxes, and pensioners fear they can't afford heat this winter. These aren't just policy failures, they are betrayals of trust. Voters feel lied to, and the press has caught on, no longer giving Starmer the gentle treatment he once enjoyed. The media's shift is a game changer. For months, they handled Starmer carefully, giving him room to build his image. But now, as former Labour advisor Matthew Laza admitted, the gloves are off. Once the press smells weakness, they don't stop. They dig deeper, expose more flaws, and amplify every mistake. This press conference was the starting point of a relentless attack on Starmer's credibility. Every viral clip, every sharp question, chips away at his leadership. The narrative has turned. He's no longer the steady leader but a man unraveling under pressure. Once the media frames you as weak, it's hard to recover. Voters stop seeing a leader, they see a sinking ship. Nigel Farage is the shadow over this crisis. He doesn't need to be Prime Minister to win, he just needs to dominate the conversation. Starmer handed him that victory by mentioning his name repeatedly. Farage's Reform UK is gaining ground, not just with Conservative voters but with Labour's base in the Red Wall. These working-class areas, once loyal to Labour, swung to Brexit in 2016 and now feel ignored by Starmer's government. Farage's simple, direct style contrasts with Starmer's robotic answers, making him seem authentic while Starmer looks staged. Every time Starmer attacks him, he boosts Farage's relevance, turning a fringe figure into a central player. This isn't strategy, it's a trap Starmer can't escape. The crisis is spreading inside Labour. With 403 MPs, the party has power, but it also has factions. Large parties breed ambition, and when a leader looks weak, those ambitions surface. MPs are already whispering about replacements, asking who could stop the slide before it's too late. Some fear a leadership challenge if Starmer can't regain control. Others worry that sticking with him could cost them their seats as Reform UK rises. The Red Wall, already slipping, could be lost for good if voters see Labour as out of touch. The party's size, once a strength, is now a weakness, too many voices, too many knives waiting to strike. The public is growing cynical. Pensioners worry about fuel bills, farmers face rising food costs, and parents struggle with childcare. Small business owners feel crushed by taxes. These are real problems, not abstract debates. Every broken promise makes Starmer look like just another politician who says one thing to win votes and does another in power. His claims of understanding hardship, growing up with unpaid bills, fearing the postman, ring hollow when delivered from secure government halls. Voters can forgive mistakes, but they can't forgive fakeness. And right now, Starmer's empathy feels like a script, not conviction. This collapse isn't just about Starmer, it's about Labour's entire project. When voters see their leader falter, they question the party's ability to govern. The Red Wall is crumbling faster, and Reform UK is no longer just a Conservative problem, it's Labour's nightmare. Farage doesn't need to win elections to change Britain, he just needs to break the old system. By exposing Starmer's weaknesses, he's doing just that. The press conference wasn't a one-off, it was a signal that Labour's foundation is cracking. The speed of Starmer's decline is shocking. Months ago, he was hailed as the answer to chaos. Now, polls show his popularity dropping at a record pace. Journalists called it historically unprecedented, a phrase that signals more than bad news, it means trust is vanishing fast. Once the narrative turns to collapse, it feeds itself. Headlines create doubt, doubt sparks rebellion, and rebellion leads to chaos. Starmer's answers are defensive, his attacks on Farage weak, his empathy staged. Voters are losing faith, and the media is amplifying every misstep. This moment feels inevitable. Leaders can survive scandals if they seem purposeful, but Starmer looks lost. His obsession with Farage makes him seem small, not strong. His broken promises undermine his trust. His robotic style distances him from voters. The pub incident wasn't just a gaffe, it was a symbol of rejection. No speech can erase that image. No spin can undo it. The public sees a leader who can't connect, and that's a wound that doesn't heal. Labour faces a paradox, a huge majority but a weakening leader. MPs are calculating their futures, knowing a sinking leader could drag them down. Factions are forming, and whispers of a leadership challenge grow louder. If Starmer can't turn this around, his own party could turn on him, not out of hate, but survival. Politics favours self-preservation over loyalty.